Hi everyone, Steve Pollock here with Banyan Hills Technologies. In this video, we're going to talk about the basics of automation in the Canopy IoT platform and using branches in our workflows. Branches, also called gateways, are special connectors between items in our canvas that provide more flexibility in setting up a workflow. So for instance, here on the screen is a fairly straightforward workflow where I'm looking for a KPI status for the printer to turn red. I have a timer here that's waiting 2 days, and then I have an email that goes out after those 2 days to someone to ask them to come check on the Canopy. There's a problem with the hardware. And then there's a stop here where that stop ends the workflow. Well, what if I wanted two things to happen when the printer status turns red? What if I wanted to keep this timer but then also have, say, a text message go out at the very same time without having to wait 2 days? How would I do that? Well, that's where branches come in handy, and we'll look at using them in this video. There's one important thing to keep in mind right from the get-go. All branches must have a corresponding merge. We'll learn more about these, but basically what that means is that when you use a branch to create two parallel paths, a corresponding merge needs to be placed in the workflow to, you guessed it, merge the two paths back together. Let's look at an example to see what we're talking about. Okay. I'm on the main operations page, which is the page you should see once you log into Canopy. To get to IoT campaigns, I'm going to come over here on the left side and come down here to where it says IoT campaigns in the left side navigation. If your navigation looks different, it may be that you need to press this hamburger stack in order to open or close the navigation. I'll have it open here and I'm going to press IoT campaigns. That will take me to this IoT campaigns page. To create a new campaign, you come over here and you click on this add icon. I'll quickly create a new one. And click create. And now I have my fresh new campaign. Over here, this is where you can look for the different elements that you can drag over onto our workflow canvas. You can use this icon up here to toggle between the grid view. This is what we call the grid view because it just shows the icons. And here is the list view, which shows the icons along with the name of the element. I like to keep it on the list view just because it makes it easier to see the name of the element that I'm dragging over onto the workflow canvas. So the first one I'll pull over is this KPI status. And for this example, we are going to look for the printer status to be red in my organization on this device. Press save, and now we have this in our workflow. One thing to note with the KPI status is that if you don't want to just monitor one device, but you want to monitor all of the devices in your organization, you can come over here and instead of selecting one of the devices in this dropdown, simply leave the device blank. And now Canopy will watch out for the KPI printers to turn red for any of the devices in this organization. That's a helpful tip just in case you don't want to have to build workflows for each individual device. You simply leave this blank and Canopy will look out for all of the devices in the organization. Now let's say for our example today, we want two things to happen to demonstrate how a split works. I'm going to want an email and a text message to be sent out during this campaign when the printer status turns red. So first I'll drag my email onto the board. I'm going to say, please check printer status is reported red. And that'll be the body of our email. We'll press save. I'm going to pull out a text message. I'm not going to set that up for now. I'm going to pull this split over here so you can see what happens. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, make it a little bit easier to see. To connect all of this, you drag a line from the KPI status to the split, and now the split allows us to have two things happen at once. We can drag this line over here to the email, drag this line over here to the text message, and now I have set it up so that my campaign will do two things at the same time. Now, as I mentioned before, all of your splits need to have a merge also. So I'm going to drag the merge over here, place it there, and then I connect the email flow as well as the text message flow back to the merge. And then the last thing to do to make this a quote-unquote real workflow is I need to stop the workflow. So I'm going to drag a stop over here onto the canvas, make this the final step, and then connect the merge over to the stop. And that's the first example for how to split the workflow so that you can do more than one thing in your campaign. All right, everyone. Let's take a look at the other types of splits and merges. First, we'll take a look at the OR split and the corresponding OR merge, which you'll find the OR split here and then the corresponding OR merge here. With these two elements, one of two specified events needs to occur for the workflow to continue. Let's take a look at a quick example and it will hopefully make more sense. I'm going to watch for the paper level in my printer, and I want to automatically send an email to my paper supplier if we go below a certain level. To do this, I'm going to have my leaf event here watch for a statistic type paper level. Just so you know, we'll provide you with the list of filters and variables for the data coming from your devices. You won't need to guess here. We'll get this info to you. I have the leaf event I'm watching for, and I'll want to capture the data paper level value here in the set variable. Here is the OR split with two conditions here. Current paper level above 100 and current paper level below 100. If the current paper level is below 100, I want the email sent to my paper rep Dwight at Dunder Mifflin and ask him to please order us more paper. If the current paper level is found to be above 100, then the campaign in this part of the OR section will stop, and it will in effect stop the entire workflow. After looking at these two conditions and taking one of two actions, then we have this OR merge, and then of course here the stop for the entire workflow. Now let's take a look at the AND example. I'll go back here. I have a pre-built AND example already set up. The AND split, which can be found here, and the corresponding AND merge works similarly to the OR split, except that it requires both conditions to be met before the workflow continues. In this example, I've set up a leaf event to look for a statistic type power status, and then that's being captured in this set variable as data power level. I added my AND split here, and then I just put in two conditions just to illustrate how this would work. Condition 1 needs to be over this 100 level, and condition 2 also needs to be over this 100 level. If both of them are met, then both of these emails are sent. We have the AND merge here, and then the workflow stops with the stop that has been added. For our last example, we will look at an event split. In this example, you can of course find the event split here and then the corresponding event merge here. An event split works similar to an OR in that it's looking for one of two items to happen, but it doesn't require a condition the way an OR split does. In this example, I've set up a KPI status for the printer, and we're looking for that status to turn red. When it turns red, the event split waits for one of two things to happen. First, you'll notice I have a timer down here, and that's set to wait for 3 hours. At the end of 3 hours, this email will be sent, and then we have the corresponding event merge, and then the campaign stops. But I also have this second KPI status up here. This is looking for the KPI status to turn green. From a practical standpoint, this means I'm waiting for one of two things to happen. First, the printer status turns green within 3 hours, and then the campaign stops. Or the KPI status doesn't turn green within 3 hours, and it's still red, and our email gets sent out, and then the workflow continues and with this stop. All right, everyone. That's the basics of using branches in automation for the Canopy IoT platform. Thanks for watching.